Good morning everyone, it's Jan here from Australia. This is my design team project for Lavender Blu for February. I use this wonderful Patchwork Fabrics kit, printable kit, and that's one of the pages from it. The other side of that page. The next signature's also got cover made with that on tracing paper. There's another bit, and then another piece, and it's really a beautiful kit. I used a piece of patchwork that I made a long time ago, challenging a friend of mine to use the ugliest fabrics we could find, and I've made a soft cover, stitched it on, 3 signatures as I showed you, and inside I've lined it with paper. I've used some pockets there with some of my watercolours that seem to go beautifully with the paper, and I've made, I just have to get back into there where you can see me properly. I've made lots of tags. This is a patchwork tag, I call them, because they're made with odd bits of paper. It's got old paper on the back for writing, and that's part of the kit. And that's a hand applique block. What I've done with this, because I'm actually a retired quilt expert, if you like, that's one of my early quilts, Listen With Your Eyes. I've put in references to what quilting is about, because I was thinking that this would make a really good journal for inspiration for quilts. This is fabrics, this is an antique quilt, there's a quilt design, an antique quilt, some blocks. Each one of these envelopes has some paper you can write on for your inspiration. I have used pattern pages out of the Down Under Quilts magazine throughout each one. This is an iron-on transfer, another patchwork journaling card. There's lots of places to write in the journal, as well as pieces of writing paper tucked in. And this vintage writing paper matches this vintage style applique pattern there. You can slip it off, write on it and pop it back in. I've got all different coloured papers in here because they go with the different colours in the kit. That's one of the pages from the kit, obviously. This pull out to write, oh, stuck together. Pull out to write on. Brightly coloured papers. Another patchwork thing. When life gives you scraps, make quilts. More of the kit. Brightly coloured scrap quilts are my forte, and I've written a couple of books about them, and they were what I was known for, using lots of pattern with pattern. Another part of an iron-on transfer there. It's one of my quilts that actually hung in the Queensland Art Gallery, and this is a little booklet that comes out of there and can be replaced when it's filled. And I've said ideas for quilts. The name of that quilt is Reach for the Sky. Again, lots of coloured paper, more of the same graph paper for doing designs on. Another piece out of the kit, that's a Dresden plate block. Each signature has a quilty postcard in it. Some old paper I've had forever. I made little bags out of tracing paper, printed the kit pages on them, and then make time to make quilts, made journaling cards. Another part of the kit. Lots of these homemade tags through here, and a corner tuck on another piece. There's some of this in all the way through the journal. There's bits out of the middle. That's a shoe fly block, also from the kit. I was thinking that people could write their dreams about quilts in here, or they could use it to record what they have done. A stack of fabric, a stash, in the back of that signature. This tracing paper makes lovely crunchy printouts. That's a piece of the kit, as I already said. Some more of the... I wanted to leave that white so that this showed up, but you could write on it. That's a quilt that my daughter and I made for one of our books, just made all with squares, and all the printed fabrics have got cats on it. This is a fabric flip, and I was thinking that you could put your featured fabrics from a quilt and make fabric flips where you were going to do the thing. These are the fabrics that are in this block. So that's a good idea, I thought. This one's a log cabin block, which lots of people are aware of that pattern, because it's quite well known. This is a vintage public domain image, 3 bears, and look what's on the bed. Today I'll create something beautiful, and that's a pull out for writing. More graph paper. Some of the fabric from the block is used on the edges of the things. Want to make a quilt? Just do it. That's what I say. There's some nice writing paper in there, and a pocket, 8-pointed stars and kaleidoscopes on that one. I've covered up anything that shouldn't be shown by putting graph paper and pictures on. My little teensy booklet and a journaling card there. Again, that says reverse applique flower, because that's what that block is. And a pocket out of another piece of paper with just decorated. Again, covering up things that you don't want seen. Another postcard, another journaling card, part of the kit. Different patchwork edge there. As part of the kit, blanket of buttonhole stitch applique, which you can see around the edges of the buttonholes. Another log cabin block. Some decorations on the pages. Belly band. Tracy Bingham sent me this in her journal, the mini folio swap, and it's actually an old design called Rob Peter to Pay Paul, because they were going across one another. And it's an old quilting design and an old patchwork block design. And another little mini book. Some more pattern pages. And that signature. More of the kit. Doing what makes my soul happy. That's a quilt of mine called Waratah My Country. And the fabric was designed by an Australian girl, Ruth Stoney, in Brisbane. And I found this in one of the magazines and thought, what a great idea, because people don't really understand about what size quilts are, and there's all sorts of information in there for people. No, lovely colour paper. And in this one, this is from the kit, and it's a shoe fly block. It's actually one of my favourite blocks. You can do so much with it. And in here, I've given you rotary cutting instructions for a 6-inch block, or templates for a 6-inch block, depending on which version of patchwork you like to do. Another piece of paper I've had since the year dot to make scrapbooking paper. There's a shoe fly again. Dresden plate. It's an old design. Did you know that Australian native Aboriginals were the first people to do patchwork in the entire world about 40,000 years ago? According to Margaret Rolfe in a book called Australian Patchwork, she documented where they made possum skin cloaks, and many of them were made with squares joined together, which is what patchwork is, patches of fabric. Live Out Loud, another one of those little tracing paper bags, envelopes. Applique block, there's a pattern that matched it. That's an antique Dresden plate quilt. That's part of the kit with the buttonhole stitch applique. And here we have a stack of my quilts and another postcard there. I've made more than 200 quilts. Some iron-on transfer, which I've written on the side of there. A little bit of trim on that page, a bit more of the kit. This is bits about stippling using machine quilting. Another bit of decoration. I harvested some Down Under Quilts magazines, but I didn't use anything that wasn't a diagram or wasn't antique or one of my own diagrams. Now this is a little envelope made into a little, I can't get it open, but it's just got little things inside there, little tiny transfers of that paper. That's a tumbling box, an antique quilt. This one's called Jewel Box. There are actually 4 blocks there to make up that design. Then we come to an antique hen and chickens quilt. More at the last bit of the quilt. Another one of my watercolour booklets there. Another patchwork. This one's called New York Beauty, and that's a log cabin design. And here's the back of the journal. I had a lot of fun making this journal. It has 180 pages in it. As you can see, rather a tome. But if you wanted to keep a journal and put all your fabrics for each quilt in, I think it'll be ideal. I hope you enjoyed that. See you next time. Bye for now.